Hello. Is procrastination kicking your ass? Are you shaming yourself because despite your best intentions, you just can't seem to sit down and write the damn book? I hear this all the time from both published and aspiring writers alike. And I always tell them that writing, publishing, and selling a book is above all else about self-management and self-accountability. And when I say self-management, I don't mean self-suppression. When I'm talking about self-regulation, I'm not talking about suppressing yourself in order to get your goals done. So many people think that they can't write unless the time is right. The feeling is right. The mood is right. They think that creativity is something that falls down from above, a strike of inspiration from their fickle muse. But what if I told you that it's actually possible to reliably and consistently tap into the flow if you know what levers to pull and buttons to press? If we haven't already met, my name is Claire Jones, and I'm a queer fantasy romance author who helps other writers get their works into the world in less time with less stress. I was able to write, publish, and sell my debut novel in under 9 months in 2022. By December of that year, it had sold in 6 countries, ranked in the top 100 of all Ingram fiction fantasy romance titles. Within a year of launch, it had been picked up by bookstores across the US, and it has only received 4 to 5-star reviews so far. Since then, I've wrote, published, and sold a novel a year, and my 4th will be releasing this coming Halloween 2025. I've not only been able to produce, but sell high quality creative products efficiently and effectively because I've spent over 20 years in the small business and entrepreneurship space, as well as have been a creative since birth. In my business journey, I have not only studied marketing, operations, and finances, but neuroscience, wellness, and personal productivity. This breadth of experience is exactly what I'm bringing to the table in this video series, where I will be going over the first of my 3 pillars of business success: sustainable schedules. The 3 pillars framework is a framework that I created years ago for my small business consultancy business, where I was helping small business leaders streamline their operations, up-level their marketing, become better leaders, manage their time better, so on and so forth. And so now I'm taking that same content and reframing it for the aspiring writers and published authors out there who may be struggling with the more business-minded sides of what being an author means. And in these 3 pillars of business success, we have number 1, sustainable schedules. Number 2 is marketing strategies. And number 3 is processes and systems. And so I'm going to be doing about 5 to 6 videos per pillar for authors and writers specifically to take them through the exact frameworks that helped dozens of business clients of mine so that you too can benefit from the breadth of knowledge and breadth of experience that I was able to deliver to them and support them with. I see way too many writers fall into never-ending cycles of creative burnout and disappointment because no one taught them this stuff. No one told them that they could use neuroscience to hack the creative process and set up writing schedules that felt freeing, not constricting. So we're going to talk about exactly how you can streamline your time, manage your energy so that you can achieve optimal creativity, productivity, and innovation, not to mention that you'll just be a happier person overall. This stuff isn't just productivity based for the sake of business. It is for you personally as well. I honestly believe that the writing advice, write every day, is inherently unsustainable and leads to self-shame and doubt. It leads to a negative brain space that only throws more obstacles in your way. So instead, I'm an advocate of creating habits and schedules that work for you, not against you. And these habits and schedules and management tools and systems are going to lead to a positive brain space that will allow you to do more, dream more, and create more. So if you're ready to hear exactly how to do that, I invite you to strap on in, get ready to take notes, and please do not hesitate to reach out to me at any time during the series to ask questions. That's exactly what I'm here for. I don't want to gatekeep this information. I want to brain share and offer my knowledge so that more books can be birthed into the world every single day. So, to start off, I'm going to do an overview of each aspect of sustainable schedules, each aspect that is involved in creating your ideal self-management systems and self-energy systems. So number one, that means we're talking about the Healthy Mind Platter, which is a neuroscientific tool that I use every single day. Number two, we're going to talk about flexible time blocking, which is a time management tool that I use every single day. We're going to talk about self-regulation. Again, self-regulation does not mean self-suppression. We're just talking about being aware of what's going on with ourselves so that we can make better decisions as to what our next actions and reactions are going to be. 4 is delegation, because you're not designed to do everything by yourself. You're not supposed to do everything by yourself. You actually create better work when you involve other people. And then 5 is coaching. So how can you coach yourself and others as you work together to create the best work? So in the following videos, I'll be doing a deep dive into each of those aspects so that you can truly understand why they're important and how to implement them. Right now, I'm just doing a quick overview so that you understand why I've chosen each of those aspects and why they're important to the self-sustainable schedules journey. So this is something that I'm very passionate about because I've experienced burnout way too many times. I know how much it sucks to have big goals that you're trying to accomplish and you just run yourself into the ground and hit obstacles over and over and over again. I started my first business back in 2014 and I was working 60 hours a week at the time. I was in a white box surrounded by myself, surrounded by inventory that I couldn't sell, and it was a really depressing place to be in. I had a brick and mortar store, and once I pivoted to online sales, I even picked up other jobs on top of that. I don't recommend doing that because at one point I had 6 different jobs that I was running at the same time just to keep things rolling, just to make sure that I could make my rent every month. And it was a really hard place to be in. I don't recommend it. I was completely burnt out. I was exhausted. I didn't have social support structures at the time. My roommate even bailed on me in the middle of all of this, and I had to pick up her half of the rent as well. And it was just a wild time in my life. I was not taking care of myself. I didn't value myself enough to take care of myself. And I didn't think that it was worthwhile. I didn't think that taking care of myself was tied to achieving my goals. There wasn't a connection there for me. I didn't realize how important it was to take care of myself in order to do the things that I knew I wanted to do, knew I was capable of doing. And you may be feeling the same way in your writing career. You may be like, these are the big dreams that I have. These are the big goals that I have for my writing career. And all of the strategies that I've been using so far are not working. Why aren't they working? What's going on? Starting with yourself first is going to be the answer, because you can't pour from an empty cup. And when you are burned out, I see creative burnout so much in authors. You are not going to be able to bring your best energy to your goals when you're in that brain space, when you're in that energy space. If you're burning the candle at both ends, you are not going to get as much done as you can, as you're capable of. You're not going to be as productive. You're not going to be as efficient or effective. And if we can together make your time and energy more streamlined and intentional, then you're going to be able to get a lot more done with a lot less stress. We are going to actually accomplish those big goals that you've set for yourself. So how do you do this? How do you take care of yourself and structure your time on a day-to-day basis or weekly basis so that you are in optimal performance for your creative goals? So first and foremost comes the healthy mind platter. This is a framework designed by the Neuro Leadership Institute. And they have found, after decades of brain research, that there are 7 areas of your life that should be balanced for optimal brain functioning. I introduced this framework first because it is a scientifically backed way to prioritize and structure your time so that you can show up as your best self in everything that you do. It's about intentionally designing your life and your schedule instead of always being in a negative brain space where you're neglecting your needs, you're neglecting your brain functioning. If you prioritize these things, these activities, you are going to be a better worker. You are going to be a better person. You're going to be a happier person because you are feeding your brain's needs, your body's needs, your emotional needs. So these activities are divided into 3 different categories. You have social needs, physical needs, and cognitive needs. For social, we have connecting time and playtime. For physical, we have physical time and sleep time, and cognitive is downtime, time in, and focus time. So the healthy mind platter is one of the first things that we look at for sustainable schedules. But I also look at things like flexible time blocking. Flexible time blocking is a way to organize your schedule so that you know what tasks you need to do, how long those tasks are going to take, and when those tasks need to be done, paired with the ability to move those blocks of time around when you need to. So that way the tasks don't fall off your plate if something else comes up, like a meeting or a more time-sensitive task. The key to prioritize these tasks is with color coding. So different colors are given different priorities. For example, red tasks are the ones that I relate to money-making activities. On my calendar, red tasks are the money-making activities. Those are the tasks that are at the top of the priority list for me. But then there are blue tasks, which are more personal errands, personal chores, stuff like that. So they are going to be at the lower end of the priority list. That way, when I have more time-sensitive tasks come up, I can easily look at my calendar, see what tasks I can reschedule if I need to, and move them around, or which tasks are too important to move. So this allows me to maintain my boundaries around my schedule. So if someone asks me to have a coffee meeting with them, but they propose a time that falls into my money-making time, then I know that I should suggest other times because I value my money-making time more so than socializing with friends. This also applies to writing sessions and time blocks that you have set aside for the writing, the selling, the production of your book. If you value those tasks more so than social tasks, more so than personal errands, you can prioritize those in your calendar with a color coding system so that you know you really shouldn't go have coffee with friends when you should be sitting down to write with your book. So how do you actually make sure that you maintain these boundaries and stick to these boundaries? This comes with self-regulation. So self-regulation techniques come into play because in order to maintain the self-discipline that it's going to take to uphold your new prioritized schedule, you're going to need to know how to manage your own emotions and actions so that you operate with intentional forethought instead of impulsive reaction. Life is full of things that stress us out, whether it's our daily commute, it's airline travel, it's workplace conflicts or disagreements with spouses. Serious challenges to our emotional equilibrium are many and varied. They happen all the time. So how can you intentionally regulate yourself so that you can stay focused, unfazed, and on track? This is especially important when you are getting into the marketing phases for your book, because once you start putting your book out there, once you start putting your message out there, you may receive criticism from friends, family, coworkers, or the public at large. I know so many authors who have gotten canceled on the internet because they didn't self-regulate before they responded to public criticism. So learning these techniques ahead of time is not only going to help you put boundaries and honor your writing schedules, but it's also going to help you deal with criticism and rejection that you get once you start putting your work out into the world. So in the fourth video of this series, I'm going to be going over 1, how emotions are generated in the first place, and 2, what emotion regulation techniques you can utilize in order to gain control over your reactions. So when generating an emotion, you go through 4 stages. 1, you are presented with a variety of stimuli in a given situation. Maybe you get a bad review on your Goodreads profile. 2, you pay selective attention to 1 or 2 of the stimuli. You look at the review and there's this one phrase in the review that's really bugging you. You are paying selective attention to that one phrase. They said that your character is ugly. I don't know. 3, you assign meaning to that selected stimuli. They say that your character is ugly. That means that they are saying that you are ugly by proxy. 4, you respond according to the meaning that you assign. So because they called your character ugly, you think that they're calling you ugly. So then you call them ugly. That's the way that people get canceled on the internet, right? So when generating an emotion, understanding those steps helps you interrupt that impulsive reaction that may result when you respond to the meaning that you assign to that emotion. So here is where you can respond more thoughtfully. That's where emotion regulation strategies come into play. So 1, you can use situation selection as an emotion strategy. You can use situation modification. You can use attentional focus. You can use reappraisal, or you can use response modulation. So each of these strategies affect different stages of the emotion generation process. And so there are pros and cons to each of the strategies. And we are going to go into depth later in the series when it comes to this. I'm just giving you the brief overview in this video. So after you're able to take control of your emotional responses to situations in order to maintain your new prioritized schedule, you need to also figure out how to delegate effectively. So delegation is an important aspect of sustainable schedules because everyone is human, and at some point we're going to reach our personal limits. We are not superhuman. We can't do everything, and we shouldn't do everything ourselves. There's not enough time in the day, and physically, mentally, emotionally, you only have so much you can contribute before you run out of gas. Do not try to squeeze water from a dry rag. At some point, you are going to have to start delegating tasks. And when I'm talking about delegating, it doesn't always apply to people that you are actively managing, like employees or team members. It can also include people that you're working with. So designers, readers, photographers, bookkeepers, colleagues, even family members count. Friends count here. So whether this means that you're enlisting your kids to help with cleaning around the house, maybe you want to hire a professional to help with your financial bookkeeping tasks, or maybe you are just asking your cousin to take care of the mashed potatoes for your family's Thanksgiving dinner. It is worth the time and energy to develop better delegation skills to make sure that each of these projects run smoothly with minimal involvement from you. Once you delegate a task, you are not going to save time and energy if you are then micromanaging the person who you have delegated the task to. So in the 5th video of the series, I'm going to go over how to structure and manage these projects and goals that you do delegate. And I'll introduce how to avoid micromanaging by making sure that everyone's in charge of their own tasks. There are 2 books that will help me explain these concepts. And this is what I read back when I started my first business in 2014, 2016-ish. The original 1 Minute Manager and the 1 Minute Manager Meets the Monkey, both by Kenneth Blanchard. They are really quick reads, but I'll go over them as well in this series. The first book, The 1 Minute Manager, is basically a guide in terms of how to set goals and expectations up front with the people that you're working with. Then, whether the goals are achieved or not, how to follow up with those people effectively. So there is a basic game plan that is easy to follow and provides quick wins no matter who you're working with, whether it's family, friends, colleagues, team members, what have you. Number 1, you want to set clear goals and behaviors. 2, you want to do periodic reviews of those clear goals and behaviors and see if they're aligning with what's actually happening. If things are going well, there needs to be a praising. If things are not going according to plan, there needs to be a redirect. And then finally, you need to move on. You can't keep holding it over that person's head. There needs to be some type of releasing once you go through this. In the second book, he takes this one step further and introduces the idea of the monkey. So the whole idea is that we have these monkeys on our backs. Have you ever heard of like, not my circus, not my monkeys? That's kind of what we're talking about here. So each person has monkeys on their back, and those are the tasks, the behaviors that we are individually responsible for. And often people like to either put their monkeys on someone else's back so that they are no longer responsible for them, or sometimes people pick up monkeys off of other people's backs. And that's what I call micromanaging. So when you pick up other people's monkeys without really needing to, that takes the initiative away from those people. You are not actually rescuing them. You are just doing things that they could be doing themselves. So as you are completing your writing goals, you need to make sure that everyone's monkeys are assigned to and taken care of by the right people. So one, identify what those monkeys are, those responsibilities, those behaviors, those tasks that are each person's individual responsibilities. Two, identify what happens with those monkeys. And then three, have periodic reviews to make sure that the monkeys are staying where they need to be. We'll go over this in depth later in the series as well. So don't worry about the specifics right now. I'm just doing a very brief overview. So how to increase your chances of sustained long-term success is by focusing on coaching the people you are working with and cultivating their personal capabilities. So coaching the people that you are working with is an important aspect of sustainable schedules because, again, we all have our personal limits, but we also all have our personal geniuses. So when you coach people, instead of just telling them what to do, you get the chance to tap into the inner brilliance that exists inside of them. How about surrounding yourself with people who are all working in their zone of genius? Can you imagine how much you'll be able to achieve if they are taking initiative, they are owning their genius, and they are working from their zone of genius? Everyone around you knows something that you don't. Everyone around you has experiences, skill sets, and knowledge sets that you don't. If you tell them exactly what to do and how to do it and when to do it, and just expect them to follow the directions step by step without any input from their zone of genius, it's going to be much more limited than if you encourage them to tap into their zone of genius. In the coaching industry, professionally trained coaches believe that everyone is the expert in their own life. They know their lives best, and they are the ones who are best able to come up with solutions, behaviors, opinions, or habits that align most with their inner guidance system. So your sustainable schedule journey is going to start with scheduling your time in a way that enhances your own brain functioning by prioritizing the 7 areas of the Healthy Mind Ladder. Then you'll use flexible time blocking to make sure that you stay on track and keep yourself accountable to your new schedule. Then you'll tap into self-regulation techniques to effectively manage your emotional experience of your new schedule, thereby empowering yourself with a sense of control and making sure that you maintain your boundaries and maintain your emotional equilibrium as we go through this process. Then you will start delegating the tasks and activities that are not in your zone of genius. And finally, you will coach the people around you so that they are better able to tap into their zone of genius. All of this adds up to a schedule where everyone involved is producing their best work because they are primed for optimal brain functioning, they are accountable and in control of their experiences, and they are kicking ass in their own unique skill sets. That's the formula for sustained long-term success right there. Imagine if you and the people around you were consistently and intentionally energized, productive, happy, and working in the zones that they work best in. How would that impact your life? How would that impact your writing career? When I discuss coaching techniques, I'm going to be going over Michael Bungay-Stainier's coaching questions. Then I'll be going over some alternative questions that I've used in my coaching sessions in the past to tap into people's inner brilliance. Michael's questions are: number 1, what is on your mind? 2 is, and what else? 3 is, what's the real challenge here for you? 4 is, what do you want? 5 is, how can I help? 6 is, if you're saying yes to this, what are you saying no to? I honestly ask myself that question on a weekly basis. It's a very powerful question. And then 7 is, what is most useful for you? What was most useful for you? And these questions align really well with a lot of the questions that I've used in my coaching sessions with clients in the past. So in every session, I begin with a series of questions that spell out START. S is for subject, T is for transformation, A is for approach, R is for result, and T is for team up. Then I use wrap questions to solidify the next steps. W is for watch for shifts, R is for review, learning, and agreement, A is for action planning and accountability. P is for partner inclusion. Again, we're going to go into much more depth later in the series. For now, I just hope that provides you with a good overview of what we're going to cover and how it fits into the formula for sustained long-term success. So next time, I'll be doing the deep dive into the Healthy Mind Platter to get you all started. So I want to leave you with some homework to get your brain juices flowing. If you look back at the Healthy Mind Platter wheel, I'm going to go back to it for you. I want you to rate your current level of satisfaction with each of the areas on a scale of 1 to 10. So 1, you are completely unsatisfied with that area, and 10, you are completely satisfied with that area. 1, looking at the wheel, what jumps out at you? 2, what are you learning about yourself as you fill out your wheel? 3, if you were to choose just one area and do one action to increase that number from a 7 to an 8, for instance, what would that action be? And 4, what is it like to look at your life with this tool? So overall, again, we're talking about how to set up a optimal formula for long-term sustainable success. We don't want to burn out as we are looking to achieve our writing goals. Number 1, we are prioritizing our brain's needs, our body's needs, our emotional needs with a Healthy Mind Platter. 2, we are using flexible time blocking to create that optimized schedule for ourselves, giving ourselves flexibility within it so that it's not constricting, while also maintaining our boundaries as to how we have been intentionally chosen to invest our time on a day-to-day, week-to-week basis. 3, we are tapping into those self-regulation techniques in order to do so. Things come up, emergencies happen, things will change inevitably. You cannot stick to a perfect schedule. A perfect schedule does not exist. So how can you use self-regulation techniques to make sure that you go with the flow? You acknowledge your emotional experience. You don't suppress your emotional experience, but you make intentional decisions moving forward instead of impulsive reactions. 4, we only have so much time. We only have so much energy. We only have so many skills ourselves. So we are going to need to delegate at some point. So how can you delegate best? How can you make sure that your delegation doesn't turn into another fire that you then have to manage? And 5, how can you coach those people that you delegate to so that they can work from their zones of genius instead of you micromanaging them all the time? Because you micromanaging them is not going to save you time and energy. It's just going to add more tasks to your plate. So how can you coach them and make sure that they are working in their own zones of genius and not adding more monkeys to your plate? All of this adds up to a schedule where everyone is producing their best work. They are primed for optimal brain functioning. They are accountable and in control of their experiences, and they are kicking ass in their own unique skill sets. I will repeat that over and over and over again throughout the series because I see way too many aspiring writers and published authors get stymied by this stuff. There's too many obstacles that get in their way when they are trying to achieve their writing goals because they haven't taken the time to break down these potential obstacles that may happen in the future and prepare for them. Creative burnout is a real thing. Not managing your time appropriately is a real thing. Not being able to write when you sit down to do your writing sessions is a real thing. Making sure that you don't get writer's block, making sure that you don't procrastinate, making sure that you honor your time boundaries and obligation boundaries, and making sure that you still handle all the other things that are going on in your life right now, because I'm sure that you writing a book isn't the only thing that's happening in your life right now. So how do we make sure that everything is working cohesively instead of competing for your attention? That's what we're talking about in the Sustainable Schedules series. Next up, we'll be talking about marketing strategies, which is the second pillar of author success. And then we're really talking about processes and systems, which is more of like the businessy financial operations side of things, which I get a lot of questions on as well. So again, if you have any questions that come up along the way, please do not hesitate to reach out to me. That is what I'm here for. In the meantime, take care. Good luck. I believe in you.